G'day. Welcome back to the program. I went down to the bookshop today and brought back a book. Horror movie right there on my TV. Do you think the author Paul Tremblay knows that great Skyhook's classic song called Horror Movie? If so, he left it out of this book, probably for copyright reasons. But what is this book about? All I know is it had a smashed VHS tape on the front, so it had me at smashed. And of course, red Bible paper. But this is a great new modern horror book. It's about some young college-aged kids making an indie horror movie. Its characters are the author of this book, known only as the Thin Kid, well, initially the Weird Kid, then only known as the Thin Kid, his character in the movie. And on page 186, we learn his name starts with A. Aaron, Andrew, Anonymous. Next up is the director of Horror Movie and one of the actresses, Valentina. Now she's a cool indie girl who likes watching old movies and meeting Thin Kid in a bar. And she thinks he'll be perfect for the role as the Thin Kid. The screenwriter and another actress in this horror movie is Cleo. She wrote the screenplay, and there's script format all throughout this book of her script that was uploaded much later than the film was made. But as you can see, the script is in unconventional script format. I mean, unconventional format for a script. It dictates editing effects. Characters talk over each other side by side on the page, which I've never seen before, and becomes way too poetic for script format. Like on page 69 here, we stay behind in the lonely room. Can a room be lonely? And on page 142, he and we can't help but jump to the conclusion that we're all replaceable, expendable. How do you show that in a film? Makes me think that the script was not the shooting script, which is hinted at later in this book. So yes, the script format is in the book, but not only the script format. You see, the Thin Kid's present day audiobook transcription is spliced in there, which itself bounces around from making the 1993 horror movie with his friends to the present day of getting a reboot made or a remake booted. We then learn the Thin Kid is the only surviving cast member of Horror Movie. Dun dun dun. So, in the script, the three friends, Valentina, Cleo and Karson, lead their other friend, the Thin Kid, to an abandoned school, lock him in a classroom, returning to throw things at him later. So, doesn't sound like friends, right? They put a ghoulish mask on him. Page 35. It's a grey-green, covered in scales, reptilian, alien, demonic. It reminds us of the creature from the Black Lagoon's Gilman, or Gilman, as it may be pronounced. But the more we look and the more we study, it is obviously different. Again, strange script format, and I like how it's crossed out here. We can see them in black and white, no color. So now we do see them in color. I like the little tangible hints of mystery throughout this script. So because of this mask, I'd say we have here Jim Carrey's The Mask meets the Blair Witch Project. Not the comedy of Jim Carrey's The Mask, but the transformation of the mask. And not the shaky cam of Blair Witch, but it's legend building. And boy, is there a legend being built here. We don't know where the mask came from. For sure, Cleo claims to have found it in the very classroom that they will be filming at, if this even is Cleo's script. The story then circles back to the script. The present-day audiobook foreshadows or backshadows events from the past that we will discover along the way. ThinKid dives into method acting, or is it the power of the mask consuming him? Or his friend's attention is having over him? I made films with my friends growing up, and you do inhabit those characters and they do stay with you. I can remember lines I said in those old 90s films. I'll go get Ernie, he used to be a doctor.
I'll go get Ernie, he used to be a doctor.
Good idea.
5%. Ernie!
Or, I just need your joint to hide out at.
I just need your joint to hide out at.
Aren't you dead?
Do I look dead to you?
So, I understand the Thin Kid's motivations here, especially to play the Thin Kid again in the remake, feeling protective of his character. He thinks he's the only one that can play him properly because he is the Thin Kid. He became him. The original film never screened. There was an accident with a chainsaw on set, and that's all the spoilers I'm going to give. The remake is possible because before she died in 2008, Valentina uploaded 3 short scenes from the horror movie to YouTube. Hi YouTube. One of them has 20 million views. We can only hope. So urban legend grew around horror movie, and now Hollywood has come a-knockin'. There's a scene where the Thin Kid has escaped from the classroom and is now on a murderous rampage. We're in Karson's house and he hears Thin Kid coming down the stairs, but the shot doesn't cut away from the opening hallway for minutes and minutes. On page 210, for example, we wonder which will happen first, the Thin Kid finally stepping into the archway or a member of the audience shouting something. Who will break the blink first? There is little doubt we're engaged in some sort of battle of wills with the movie. And on page 211, who are we kidding? If anyone watches this movie, it'll likely not be in the theater, but on VHS tape. Some of us sitting at home trying hitting the pause and play button again to unfreeze the image. Not satisfied, we rewind a few frames to verify the tape is still playing. We might even hit the stop and then eject. No, people would just hit the fast forward button. I'm telling you, if a frame, like a scene appears on screen and nothing's happening, you're going to hit fast forward until you see something else happen, and then you'll hit play. Suspense be damned. there's no like shot in the history of cinema where you'd sit all the way through it. Well, I guess there is. There's some people that watch like the original silent Ben-Hur, which originally went for hours and hours and hours, and people who claim to have seen it thinks it's very satisfying. The end of The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, when they're all just staring at each other waiting to shoot. I may be old-fashioned. No, wait. I mean, I may be very modern with a short attention span, but stuff like this. Although, in this book's defense, during this whole waiting for the thin kid to appear, I forgot I was reading in script format. And kudos. Karson is terrified waiting, and he doesn't recite the crocodile poem to be, well, poetic. He does so he won't be scared. Like a kid singing on a roller coaster for distraction. By page 245, however, the story has accelerated. The present, the audiobook script, now floods or bleeds into the script. So, this book is the story of how the weird kid that Valentina first met became transformed into the thin kid, and how he finally achieved that transformation at the very end of this book. Chilling. Not for the faint of heart. But if you like gory, horrible podcasts like, I don't know, Horror Hill or Gilbert Godfrey's Amazing Colossal Podcast, you'll like this. Highly recommend it. It was interesting, a good mystery. It's like a throwback to like Stephen King's Christine, because that too is written like the first person and then not first person, so you're jumping around a little bit. Svengoolie gets a mention on page 118. This also reminds me of a short indie horror movie called Janitor's High that I myself found a long time ago in an abandoned Blockbuster video parking lot.